But Laura, do I really need to do brand guidelines? In this episode of my TV, I'm exploring another common branding mistake. Are you one of those many people that I have conversations with online who are avoiding or maybe procrastinating on creating a brand guidelines document in your business? Let's get an instant read on this together so we can figure out exactly where you're at and answer this question right for you. I feel so passionately about this particular branding problem that I have an awful feeling I might burst into song to just try and express my passion to you today. Stick around till the end and see if I really am compelled by song. Brand guidelines are just a really robust, in-depth book that explains the why of your whole business. Think of this document like the instruction manual that explains all of the inner workings of your brand strategy, your brand identity, and how you want to implement that brand across your entire business operation. The point to pay attention to here is it doesn't just say how things are supposed to be in your business, it explains why, and it backs up the why with facts and research. You may have heard the term from me here on my TV or out there on other content that you consume about this idea of a living brand guidelines document. Now, let me just clear up exactly what that means. So this just means that this is a resource that is accessed regularly by the team of people who are working in a business. It could be that it's your virtual team, it could be employees, it might just be just you right now and you're looking to add a virtual assistant or make your first hire as your business grows. The idea is these people, new and included, are looking at this on a regular basis. Not only are you looking at it and using it as a reference tool on a regular basis, you're expected to update it. And this is what adds to that sense of it being a living document. And you're going to be updating it with key information about any changes that are going on in your marketplace, any important events that might have happened out in the world that have impacted your business. And you use this regularly to make sure every single creative pursuit you take as a business remains on brand. The other factor to bear in mind when you're thinking about a living brand guidelines document is that I think in this day and age, it's completely normal to expect and require that every single creative supplier you engage with adds their own section onto your brand guidelines document. So if you are working with a photographer, for example, they would be able to submit mood boards so that they can show any future photographers that you might hire, or in particular, any other photographers who have a different area of expertise. For instance, you might hire a brand photographer to take pictures of you and your team and your workplace, but then you're going to hire a specific product photographer who's going to shoot the line of products that you sell. You want to know that those two photographers are able to speak in their photographer language to each other, which is usually with an explanation of what they're doing with mood boards and other imagery references. If you've got all of that in your brand guidelines document, you can start to see how much of a time saver this is for you who's trying to put one photographer in touch with another, understand all their weird technical language that they use, and try at the same time to grow your business. So you're getting an idea why and how this is starting to get more organized and keep everything straight in your business. And when you extrapolate this and think about it in a little bit more detail, you can see why I'm so passionate about it and why I often refer to this as the blueprint of your brand and business. This starts to pay off when you bring in a new team member, or maybe you're trying to negotiate with an investor who wants to maybe buy a stake in your business in exchange for some funding. Or it's another supplier that you've never worked with before, but they can do the thing that you now want to add into your business as an important brand asset. When all of those people are given the exact same brand guidelines document, guess what? They all know exactly where they stand. They all know how everyone else in the business operates. And more importantly, they can see very clearly what it is you're expecting them to do. And everything is sped up beautifully. And you probably know this already if you've seen another episode of Mwah TV, that I am really passionate about time being money, especially when you have a small business. So now you know exactly what a brand guidelines document is, let's start to unpack this common branding problem just a little bit further. So why is this so common? At the outset, creating this really cool blueprint and behind the scenes code of what your business is about can feel quite exciting, and you think, yeah, actually I own this business, I birthed this business, this is a cool creative thing for me to do, I'm going to do this myself. So you go online, you find a brand guidelines template document, maybe you buy a license to it, or if it's free, you download it and you think, right, that's the template I'm going to use. I'm going to fill this in and have some fun getting all my ideas straight in this document. And when you've done that, tick, you're on to the next thing. And then you open the template and you start to read what the prompts are and you try and fill this thing in. And this is where it can quickly become a stressful, not exciting or creative experience for you. Not really understanding why there's all these chapters that sort of sound the same can make you think, well, this is just pointless repetition. You're saying one buzzword that I hear all these marketing people talk about in this chapter, I write down all the details, and then the next chapter, it feels like the same thing again. Why do you even need that chapter, you might ask? On the other hand, you might download this template, open this document, and then just think to yourself, yeah, I could spend the next day or 2 days filling this thing in, but I know right now that I don't know if my rent payment for where I work is going to go through. I really need to focus on getting money into my business, not do this template. It could be that for you, in where you're at with your business journey so far, that focusing on getting the cash flow into a healthier, more reliable state is better for you. And in that case, I always advise, if you're in that scrappy startup phase or you're going into that more scrappy times with your business, this is not a task to do. You need to focus on getting some quick sales in. However, I do have a tip for you. I want you to use this time as you're making these quicker sales to really get more detailed and focused on who you prefer to sell to. So sometimes we all go through this in business. You might need to sell a few things that aren't really your favorite thing to do, or you might get less choosy about who you're selling them to because you just need money coming through the door. Pay attention to that and start making some notes, maybe on the first page of your brand guidelines template, about who you didn't like working with and why, and who you loved working with and why. And that's going to really help you when it's time to come back to this exercise. After you've been in business beyond the initial scrappy startup phase, you will probably realize that in order to develop a stable income and secure way of scaling your business to where you want it to go to actually requires some serious investment in infrastructure and resources. And all I mean when I say that is you're probably absolutely tired, knackered. Maybe you've experienced burnout because you've been the one crazy, overproductive human who does everything 12 hours a day for 7 days a week, and you want a business, but you didn't want to do a business this much to make it work. You've learnt the hard way, like we all do, that investing in the right people in your team to expand out those resources is the right next step for you. A brand guidelines document is a really good investment for this stage of business. This is a great way to add a key piece of infrastructure into your business as you're starting to acquire new people into your team. And you can already see from the way that I've explained it, once it's created, it's going to start speeding up efficiency. And the minute you start speeding up efficiency, you're saving money on overheads. The other common characteristics that I see with people who ask me this question or who are in this problem is that they just don't understand what brand guidelines documents are for and what they're really going to do for the business. And it's really common, I see this a lot, where people confuse the terminology brand guidelines with something that's known in the biz as a brand style sheet. A style sheet is a one-pager that is sometimes issued to you by quality graphic designers to just let you know about the foundational brand identity that they've created. And this usually includes details about your font or font family, your logo and the different versions of your logo and where and when they should be used, and a breakdown of your color palette. A quality graphic designer will give you that color palette in hex code, RGB, and CMYK for printers. If I've just described you there, I would love to take this moment to invite you to subscribe to Moi TV. And if you're already in the know and you're an old timer here, why don't you go ahead and give me a quick like right now? What's really going to happen if you ignore this? When you avoid introducing a brand guidelines document into the infrastructure of your business, you're basically just creating a rod for your own back. Not having this key resource in your business is not going to be like the demise of your business. But what I can tell you it'll do is it'll create lots of little problems that will require your precious time to fix and sort out. So if you feel like you spend most of your day putting out lots of little fires, then this might resonate for you. And in the worst case scenario, the problems that I'm talking about can end up costing you money. And no one likes to waste money in business, do they? And there's one particular scenario where time and money can be wasted. I'm going to talk you through that now. So I've seen this happen a lot over the years with different clients. And what usually happens is they hire an expert creative supplier to do something in their business. It might be to update something that they already had or create a new thing that they need as a brand asset in their business. As a quick example, a creative supplier could include a graphic designer, an illustrator, a web designer, a copywriter, any type of photographer, an ads manager, an email marketer, or even a personal stylist. And when they made those hires and signed a contract with those suppliers, they went into it as business owners thinking this is going to be an enjoyable experience. I'm paying for a service here as well as the thing that I want to add into my business. That's a transaction just like booking a holiday or going out for a nice meal. You expect it to be an enjoyable experience as well as enjoying the destination or eating the amazing food. And then it goes wrong. It might be that the customer service element of what they were buying was just lacking from beginning to end. Maybe the communications part of getting this service was just a little bit blurred and confusing, and overall that felt like quite a burden, like they had to manage the communications with this supplier. So those are like little niggles, but then to top it all off, you get the final thing that the person's supposed to be doing for you and it just doesn't hit the spot creatively. And what often happens when that happens is you have to start going into a series of changes. And this is when a supplier probably is going to ask for more money because they hadn't budgeted for this in their quote, or it gets a little bit tetchy for everyone involved. And changes can go on and on and on. And that experience is so frustrating to both parties involved. And then the dragged out timeline gets you to the point as the business owner where you just want to tear your hair out. You're sick of it. I've worked with business owners in the past who thought, I'm not going to bother with a supplier. I'm going to find my own person. I'm going to bring them into the business. I'm going to make them one of us and they're going to do amazing creative work like one of the job titles I just described to you. Sometimes when people do that, it can be even more painful. You might have hired a new person into your team. You've gone into your pocket for all of this additional investment because they're now an employee and they're just not doing what you've asked them to do in their job description, and you don't understand why they don't understand what you're asking from them. Or sometimes I've seen it where the team member is trying to impress you. Maybe there's a little bit of competition among two team members, and in their efforts to impress you, they go off on this massive tangent, do all of this extra work, and then show it to you like, ta-da! And it's just not what you need or want or asked for. So then you have the awful experience of being a manager saying, thanks very much for all that extra work, but it doesn't work for what we need it to. Start again. And then you have to pay them for all of that wasted time at the end of the month. And sometimes people need to experience this sort of pain or these sorts of gripes that I've just described there firsthand before they're willing to invest properly in getting a brand guidelines document for their business. Sometimes it takes that sting to really understand the value. I actually made this episode a while back, which talks about these types of events when working with creatives. You might get a kick out of it. I'll put a link to it below so you can watch it next when we're done here today. How to overcome it. There are a few different ways that you can go about getting a brand guidelines document working for you in your business. You might choose to do this quickly. The quickest way to do this is to delegate this as much as you possibly can. If you wanted to do that with me, you could book yourself in for my brand strategy in a day service, which, like it says on the tin, happens in a day. I basically pull your brand out of your mind over the course of a day. Don't worry, it's not painful. And then I go away and get all of those ideas that we talk about in that intensive day into a beautiful brand guidelines document for you with my team. If you want to, you can involve your team in the creation process. They can be there on the day to have input. Or sometimes people like me to come in after the brand guidelines document's created to just debrief the team on how this is going to work in their day-to-day jobs. You can find out more about this service by heading to my website, laurapearman.com/brand-strategy-in-a-day. You might prefer to do this together. The second way to go about creating your brand guidelines document is to sign up for enrollment with my program. And that's exactly what the outcome is from my brand program experience, as well as meeting a lot of great other business owners along the way. You're going to come away with a fully researched, data is fully backed up brand guidelines document that you have your hands on and control of through the process of the program. The beauty of this is you can fit this in around your own schedule. My recommended time to complete it is 6 months, but when you sign up to the program, you have a whole year access to all of the materials if you want to take your time a little bit with it. And on the flip side, I've had people complete it much quicker than that. You can find out more about this service by heading to www.laurapearman.com/program. You might want to tackle this in a bite-sized way. For the people out there who find completing their brand guidelines document in one beginning, middle, and end program a little bit too much to commit to, I've actually chunked this down into bite-sized courses. And this is split out to help you with the exact stage of business that you're at. This is the direction I point any new business owner towards to give them some help. So if you are that scrappy startup business owner that we were talking about earlier in this episode, this is where I recommend you go. It's a great way to focus on the bit that you're struggling with right now, but at the same time, you're adding piece by piece by piece together. And over time, when you've completed all of the courses, you'll have the exact same result as with the program, a fully thought out, well-researched, up-to-date, living brand guidelines document. You can find out more about my courses by heading to www.laurapearman.com/courses. Let's recap then. What are the benefits to doing this for your business? So the benefits of having robust brand guidelines documents are literally endless as far as I'm concerned, but let's just do a recap. You can expect to spend less time debriefing and re-explaining yourself to your team. You can also expect new creative suppliers to present you with work that seriously delights you because it's exactly what you have in your head without spending days on trying to get them to understand you. You're going to eliminate endless version revisions with creatives. There is nothing more frustrating than something dragging on and on like this. And if you felt this before, you know exactly what I mean, don't you? And an unsurprising benefit is that the people I've worked with to create a brand guidelines document tell me that this whole experience gives them a new zeal and sense of confidence about their business. So this is almost a bonus benefit of finally getting it all formalized into a proper living brand guidelines document. And the final benefit is readiness. The next step of readiness for you, it might be a launch. It might be that you're going for a new round of investment. You might be about to embark on a scaling project. or just further increasing your publicity and visibility as a business. No matter what that big step is for you next, having a brand guidelines document can really feel like the wind beneath your wings. Did you ever know that you're my hero? I'm going to leave that there. No one needs that today, do they? Bet's not got nothing on me. If you've enjoyed learning about brand guidelines documents with me today, then you're going to want to take a look at these episodes up next. I'll see you next time. Mwah. Now, before you go anywhere, don't forget to subscribe. Mwah.